This last year, I have made right around $500,000 at the age of 21 years old, which is absolutely insane. But according to the tax man and the IRS, my businesses are just barely breaking even. Now, this includes my normal work. I've been investing in real estate recently, crypto, stocks, private equity even I have a little bit of, everything you name it. And this year, I'm going to pull in right around $500,000.
Are we rich?
Yeah.
Why are we rich?
Because we got it!
Now, I thought this was a really cool opportunity to share 3 things that I have learned that I was totally not expecting when making, this amount of money. And I'm just going to get right into it, straight to the point. So the very first thing that I have learned, it will never be enough. And that's the first thing I learned, is it will never be enough. And what I mean by that is I was actually watching this podcast with a guy named Iman Gadzi. I don't know how to say his last name, but basically he said entrepreneurship is like a sport. It gets to a point where it's no longer about the money in your bank account. It's more about just the sport of being good at it and growing it as fast as you can. And I'm not at this point yet, obviously, but once you get to a certain point, money is just a monetary possession. It doesn't matter if you get more of it, doesn't matter if you get less of it, because you have so much, you can buy everything that you would ever need, and it doesn't really serve you that big of a purpose anymore. I'm not at that point yet, but I know that you can get there, and at that point, you start to realize that it's more about the game of entrepreneurship, the game of making it, more than it is the actual dollar amount in your bank account. And when I say it's never enough, if you would have told me 3 years ago, even 2 years ago, at the age of 21, I would made $500,000 this year, plus everything I made the past 2 years, I would say, oh my gosh, like that's more money than I could ever need at that age. Like I would be totally content with that. Fast forward to now, and I'm in that position, all I could think about is just more. Now, I don't think everyone's like this, but I think a very vast majority of people who are business minded think like this. Big realization for me was that it is never enough. And that can be kind of a blessing and a curse, I think, because I'll never really be content, I don't think, which is great. But also I'm worried, one day if I get to that 10 million, 50, $100 million mark, if I'm just still going to be as hungry. And I obviously want to have a good balance in my life and not just be driven by that every second of the day. That's the big thing I've learned, is that it's never enough. Whatever you think your content number would be at, I promise you when you get to that point, you're going to want way more. It's also pretty underwhelming. When I hit that first 50K mark, in my head, I thought it was going to be this crazy thing. And it's pretty underwhelming. Same thing with the 100K, 150, 250K. Like you think that it's going to be this huge deal, especially the 6-figure one for sure. I'm not at the million yet, but especially the 6-figure, I thought was going to be this, big, huge feeling of accomplishment inside. And then you realize it's just another number on your phone screen. And I'm not a rapper, so I don't carry like my cash with me everywhere I go. So I don't have 100 bands just sitting on my desk. So for me, a lot of my money's in my bank account or it's invested. And so when you hit that 6-figure mark, or 150 or 50K, or even, it might be first 5 figures, it definitely doesn't feel as good as you think it will. It's just another number on your phone screen, which another thing, that was a big realization for me, but pretty underwhelming. So the second one is a little bit more controversial. Did I say that right? Controversial, and it is the saying that money does not buy happiness. Now, I don't want to step on anyone's toes here, but I want you to think about the people who have told you that statement, and I want you to think about if they were in a position of wealth, if they were actually truly wealthy and financially free. Most likely, 90% of the people who have told you that are not financially free. They aren't in a position of wealth or a position of financial freedom to even know. And so how would they know / why would they know? And again, I'm not trying to step on toes, but you hear that saying all the time, money does not buy happiness. Now, I'm here to tell you that money, I don't think personally buys happiness, but what I can say is it buys time, it buys stress, it buys freedom, it buys things that can make you happy, and it can remove things that make you not happy. When I hear, money doesn't buy happiness, you're right. If you're sick or your girlfriend broke up with you or whatever, it doesn't matter how much money you have in your bank account. Obviously, health is wealth, and family, at least for me personally, family, friendship, relationships, and health are the most important thing in the world. But when it comes to saying money doesn't buy happiness, I think that's a very ignorant statement, because if my car breaks down, if I have to go pay a bill that I didn't know was coming, I don't even blink about it. I don't stress about it. I don't give it the extra time of day, which causes me to live a very genuinely happy, stress-free lifestyle that I can go and kind of do whatever I want whenever I want. So it's a very touchy one, but I just want you to think about it. The people who tell you that, most of them most likely are not in a true position of financial freedom or wealth. Again, I don't want to say it does buy happiness, but just relieves you of so much stress, and it buys you time, and it buys you convenience and freedom. And to me, that is a very valuable thing that has made my life exponentially better and has allowed me to be a very stress-free, genuinely happy person. Now, again, health is wealth, and I will preach that till the day I die. Money does do a lot of good things. It's a tool. You need to use it. But again, health and relationships are probably the two most important things, and without those two, you'll never be happy, even if you have a gazillion dollars. And the third thing that I have learned these past 3 years, and probably the biggest thing that I have learned, is that any single person in this world can get ahead in life if you are surrounded by the right people and you have the right vehicle. And what I mean by that is, my dad used to always say this, and I'm a firm believer of it: you are the sum of your 5 friends. If you hang out with a bunch of losers, you're not going to be surprised if you're a loser. If you hang out with a bunch of people who are just grinders, gym rats, whatever, you're probably going to turn into that. If you hang out with a bunch of people who are entrepreneurs or any sort of niche or category, you're probably going to turn into that, and you're going to mold into that person whether you want to or not. If you can just surround yourself by the right people and find the right vehicle for you, financial freedom is so achievable for anybody. And I mean that when I say that, for anybody. And the next point I'm going to make kind of contradicts that. But before I move on to that, I also want to make a note that my vehicle to financial freedom might be very different than yours. Everybody can have a different vehicle to get them to where they want to be. And that's the coolest part about, especially living in America. I'm very blessed. I'm a big America guy. As you can see the flag back there. You can do whatever you want. You can start your own business. You can start car washing business. You can do an online business. You can start a YouTube channel. You can literally do whatever you want. You just have to find that vehicle that works for you and is going to get you to the next point in your life. Anybody, and I mean this, I've seen people who are just the last people that you think would be successful turn it around, and now they're very well off and successful with family and money and friends and all of that. Anybody can achieve, financial freedom and ultimately success, in my opinion. Now, this point is going to completely contradict to what I just said, but my job specifically, I've done door-to-door sales the past 3 summers and been very successful. If you're interested in it, I have a video. Go watch my other video on it. But that job specifically has also showed me that 85% of all the people in this world are absolute bozos. And again, I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes, be mean, quote unquote, but I have knocked on thousands and thousands and thousands of random people's doors. 85% of the human beings on this world are just okay, and they're content with having a 9-to-5 job, living paycheck to paycheck. And for some people, that's what they want, or at least that's what they say they want. I think that's a very lazy excuse for people, though, in today's world, to say that's what I want, that makes me happy, just because they haven't achieved bigger. But 85% of the people in this world are okay with that, and that's what they're going to do because they aren't going to work hard to get past that. Now, the good part about that is that actually makes it pretty easy for you. If you have a good head on your shoulders, you're working hard, you're disciplined, you're surrounded by the right people, it is fairly easy to get ahead in this world, in my opinion, just because so many people, like I said, 85% of these people are just quote unquote bots for the world. They're just going to go through the simulation. They're not going to try to break the boundaries or make a path or do anything special. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation. And so that leaves so much room for you, if you're hungry, if you're successful, and if you're watching this video, you probably are, to actually go and get ahead. And that's probably one of the biggest things I learned, is that it's so easy to get ahead just because there's so many people who aren't willing to do the extra work to get ahead in their life. So those are the 3 biggest things I learned after making around $500,000 at the age of 21. Take with it what you will, but I think they're very interesting things that I personally learned. So go ahead and just absolutely smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm posting one video every Wednesday on my mama. I shouldn't say that, but I'm going to. Next week, I have a super exciting video. And then also I just closed on my very first house, which we're going to get into that in a little bit later. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.